The Honorable and Venerable Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, D-Twitch, has come up with the solution, the answer to how we solve all crime. You guys, you don't want to miss this one. You guys you definitely want to be here for this. So come on in, stick around as we get into that part of the news. Biden says he is flexible on how to do the infrastructure plan, and he'll even drop it down to $1 trillion. Aren't we lucky that we can spend ourselves into oblivion that way? So we'll talk a bit about that. Another Bush is running for office. I have no reason to put that in there except for the fact I figured you guys would be entertained by that, so let's talk a bit about that. And apparently the judge says there will be no fireworks in South Dakota over Mount Rushmore this summer. Well, that's pretty lame here, but we'll talk a bit about that too. It's going to be all this and more. Hey, 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 do you trust the plan yet? I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. All right, good morning, everybody. We were late this morning here by quite a country mile here because, well, we had power outages in Redacted, where I live. And, well, now that I don't have a laptop anymore and my computer's not run on a regular battery, I opened up my OBS this morning after a forced shutdown on my computer and found that I had no scenes. Nothing. Like, there was nothing there. I woke up, I opened up OBS, and it's a blank screen, and new scene was picked. So I had to go back and do all that from scratch once again. And, I mean, I've got none of my red net scenes either. I mean, hell, we can throw this over here quick and you guys can see. But, yeah, if you look at that there, it's just all the scenes that I use for this and nothing else. So, well, we'll have to sit back and redo the red net show stuff, but that's a problem for future Ed. That guy's going to hate me. He really is, but we'll take care of that over the weekend here. Hey, by the way, if you tell a friend and tell 10 friends, today is the day that I thank everybody from the live chat, too. And, you know, I've got everybody's names in the handy-dandy notebook, so I can come down and say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you at the end of the show. Make sure if you are just lurking today, you get at least one message in today, so I can thank you for that as well, because I always appreciate the fact that you guys sit here and listen to me every single morning. You'll sit here and have your morning coffee with me, and it's great. I have my morning energy drink. And if the company who was paying me, or I'm sorry, if the company who made this energy drink was paying me, it would be in their vessel too, instead of a Quick Trip cup. But anyway, we got a bunch of news to get. Well, actually, we don't have as much. This was kind of a slow news day today, but I mean, hey, we need one of those every once in a while too. Funny story before we get into any of this and before we even sell the wares here. I said this yesterday. I took yesterday off from work and then we had power outages. So my computer got shut down, and once it came back up, I'm like, you know what? I don't want to deal with Twitter today at all. So I got up, and I gardened. I did some of that. I did some laundry, a couple errands around town, did some cleaning around the house, and I sat down and I played Fallout 4 for 3 hours, which was the first day playing Fallout 4, too. I came back to no news and people bitching about Trump. But it was just a good day to stay away from Twitter yesterday. I'm really glad that I did. I missed you guys, but, you know, we're back here and we'll do this. And it seemed like it was a really toxic day on Twitter yesterday. But, you know, you can still go follow me over there. That is at EdsBlog Twitter, the one in place of the I. Plus, you can also go over there and check out all of my friends from the Freedom Scoop Media Group. We carry such great shows as The Generational Gap, The Daily Ignoramus, The Breakdown with Breckenhoff, The R-Rated Conservative, and The Freckles and Brit Show, who I've actually got to check with Freckles and Brit to see when they're coming back. I think it's going to be this weekend, aren't they, that they're coming back? I hope so, because I do miss that show, and I miss some of that salt, too. So we got to head on over there, check them out, check out all the rest of the shows. Pardon our dust, we're still under construction, but you can still head over there, bookmark the page, and once we're back up and running, you can come on over there and help us support great creators. The Dow today, well, yesterday, it dropped like a stone at the beginning, and it tried, and it struggled, and it crawled back. It wound up finishing pretty well flat, just about exactly where it was the day before. The ending total was 34,577.04, so it was just slightly lower than where it closed yesterday, but, you know, it's trying here, and, you know, there's a lot of stuff that's being pushed back, and some of the stuff is being pushed by inflation, too, so we will see where that goes. I do have an extra finance article today, because we're going to talk a bit about Bitcoin, because Elon Musk couldn't keep his mouth shut today, either. But let's keep going here. I've got the Bitcoin value today is at 36,522.90. That is just slightly lower from yesterday, but it looks like it may go shooting back down once again. Well, I guess we'll look into that as we go. Your fuel prices around the Madison area. The Costco is your low price leader in Sun Prairie at $2.65. Looks like we're seeing a lot of 265s up to 267. We're moving back up into the 270s range for Madison. So 273, 279, and 282 is going to be your high price in the Madison area. Consult with your locals, but this will give you an idea where this is going in the rest of your local stations. Reading now from IBD. Get ready for the opening bell. Free webinar, Tuesday, June 15th. No. Dow Jones Futures market rally breaks support as GM flies, Tesla dives, AMC whipsaws as meme stock madness continues. From Ed Carson. Dow Jones Futures were little changed Friday morning, along with S&P 500 futures and NASDAQ futures with the June jobs report on tap. The stock market rally lost ground Thursday with the NASDAQ falling below its 50-day line. AMC stock, GM, and Tesla were the big movers. GM said it'll be easily beat first half targets a week after announcing it was reopening 4 North American plants. As chip woes somewhat subside, GM stock jumped leading Ford and most auto stocks higher, but Tesla stock broke below key support on a report that China demand for Tesla vehicles tumbled in May. Highly valued growth stocks had a tough day, though this was by no means uniform. AMC plunged, rallied, and retreated again as AMC stock continues to offer more thrills than AMC theaters. I like that. That's funny. That's funny shit right there. I actually enjoyed that. Meanwhile, Bed Bath & Beyond, BlackBerry, GameStop, and the new meme stock, Workhorse Group, were big movers once again. I wonder if that's the Workhorse Group that makes the little cutaway trucks. Let's look into that real quick. Now that I've got that third window up here, actually we can do stuff like this and go back and look stuff up. Plus enough processor to do this. Workhorse. If I could type. Yeah, it is. It's those little cutaway trucks, like what your FedEx truck is when it comes back and deliver. And I think Workhorse makes the UPS truck too. I thought that's what that was. Huh. So yes, they're gonna meme that one out too. AMC stock remained active early on Friday. CrowdStrike and Broadcom headline earnings reports after the close. CrowdStrike topped the cybersecurity firm, also gave bullish revenue guidance, but stocks were flat in extended trading. Shares fell 2.1% to 216 on Thursday. CrowdStrike stock has been working on a handle with a potential 227.05 buy point. That's just below a late April peak of 227.20. The official CrowdStrike stock buy point is 251.38. Broadcom earnings also beat views. AVGO stock edged higher Friday morning. Shares of the communications chipmaker and software maker fell 1.9% to 464.80 on Thursday. Broadcom stock has a 489.73 double bottom base point. AVGO stock may be forming a handle just above its 50-day line. Sports apparel retailer Zumiez quarter one earnings surged to 103 in an 84-cent loss a year earlier, crushing estimates for EPS of 1 cent. Sales more than doubled to $279.1 million, above views for $215.9 million. Zumiez stock jumped 5% before the open, signaling a bullish rebound from its 50-day line and breaking a trend line. Zumiez has an official buy point of 49.33. And we'll talk about the infrastructure plan just a little bit. But we're going to talk about that directly up here. So let's skip over this one here. Let's look at the futures on Dow Jones Futures. Dow Jones Futures fell less than 0.1% versus fair value. S&P 500 futures climbed 0.1%, and NASDAQ 100 futures rose 0.2%. Dow futures may be awaiting the June jobs report due at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Economists expect to see non-farm payrolls up 645,000. That follows April's 266,000, which came in far below estimates of nearly 1 million. Recent labor data, including the ADP employment report and weekly jobless claims, suggest substantial hiring is underway. So that should be breaking just about now. We'll see what happens with that probably on Monday. I'll probably know about it as soon as I pop off of here, but we'll see what happens with that up on Monday. Facebook edged lower as European Union and UK regulators open dual antitrust investigations into whether the online giant distorts the classified ads marked by using data collected from rivals. Yes, it's Facebook. Of course they distort stuff. They want people to spend all their time on fucking Facebook. I don't even know where that's controversial. Everybody knows that. Why do you need a private investigator to do that? Bitcoin fell somewhat overnight on another cryptic tweet from Tesla CEO Elon Musk suggesting some sort of breakup with the cryptocurrency. Remember, overnight action in Dow futures and elsewhere doesn't necessarily translate into actual trading in the next regular stock market session. Let's check in with CNBC to see what it is that they're seeing from this. Dow Wednesday flat as economic comeback plays offset losses in tech from Yoon Lee and Tanya McKeel. Cyclical stocks lifted the Dow Jones Industrial Average off its lows on Thursday to close the session near the flat line, while better than expected labor market data helped support the sentiment. The blue chip Dow closed just 23.34 points, or less than 0.1%, at 34,577.04 after shedding 265 points. At a session low, the S&P 500 declined 0.4% to 4192.85, and the tech-heavy Nasdaq fell 1% to 13,614.51. The benchmark S&P 500 sits about 1% from its all-time high, reached earlier last month, but it has been stuck around these levels for about the last 2 weeks. The S&P 500 is up more than 11% so far this year. Merck and Dow were the two best performers on the 30-stock benchmark, both rising more than 2%. Consumer staples and utilities were the biggest gainers among 11 S&P 500 sectors, while the consumer discretionary and tech weighed on the broader market, falling 1.2% and 0.9% respectively. Shares of GM climbed nearly 6.4% after the company said it expects its results for the first half of 2021 to be significantly better than its prior guidance. On the data front, private job growth for May accelerated at its fastest pace in nearly a year as companies hired nearly 1 million workers, according to a report Thursday from payroll processing firm ADP. Total hires came in to 978,000 for the month, a big jump from April's 654,000, and the largest gain since June 2020. Economists surveyed by Dow Jones had been looking for 680,000. With ADP knocking it out of the park and jobless claims breaking the 400,000 barrier, a pandemic low, all eyes will be on the larger jobs picture tomorrow, said Mike Lowengardt, a managing director at E-Trade. With seemingly all systems on the jobs front, the economy is flashing some very real signs that this isn't just a comeback. Expansion mode could be on the horizon. Well, I guess we'll see. Looks like they're anticipating more coming back out of the jobs report too. I'm kind of excited to see where this goes as well because, I don't want to see the people of this country fail. As much as I want to see the current administration fail because they're going to spend us out into oblivion, I don't want to see the people fail. And when there are no jobs and people aren't going back to work, the people are failing. And I don't want to see that. I really don't. But we'll see what happens with that. We will continue to pay attention to this. I want to grab this article quick from CNN Business talking a bit about Bitcoin and what's happening there. Because I know Spartan comes in and watches the show every once in a while, and I know he likes the Bitcoin side of this. And to be honest, I like the crypto side of this too. But this is from Hannah Ziadi. Bitcoin tumbles after Elon Musk tweets breakup meme. The price of Bitcoin sank on Friday after Elon Musk appeared to lament the end of his relationship with the cryptocurrency. The Tesla CEO tweeted a meme about a couple breaking up, along with Bitcoin and hashtag in a broken heart. The post included lyrics from a song by rock band Linkin Park titled In the End. The price of Bitcoin fell about 7% to hit 36,723 at 7 a.m. Eastern Time, according to CoinDesk. Other digital currencies followed, with Ethereum falling 8% to 26.39 and Dogecoin tumbling nearly 13% to around 36 cents. I'm still ahead. Musk recently told customers that the electric car giant would no longer accept Bitcoin as a payment for its vehicles because of concerns about the environmental impact of Bitcoin mining, which is extremely energy intensive. Probably more energy intensive than mining all those lithium batteries. While he later appeared to soften his stance after speaking with Bitcoin miners in North America, Musk's most recent tweet suggests he won't be back on the bandwagon anytime soon. Musk frequently triggers large moves in cryptocurrency prices, often via obscure remarks on social media. In December, Musk sent the price of Dogecoin up nearly 20% by simply tweeting one word, Doge. He later said the tweets about crypto were meant as jokes. So there's a lot of stuff going here. There's one thing that I do want to point out with this, though. As far as what this means for crypto and what crypto means in the future. Now, as it sits right now, Bitcoin is actually a currency because you can go, and it's accepted in certain places as a direct payment for things. And, I mean, you can come back and I'm going to set up the wallet where you guys can donate, and you guys can donate to me via crypto, and I would very much appreciate that because I want to hoard as much of this stuff as I can, but it's really, really expensive, so I can't hoard a whole hell of a lot of it, but I really do want to hoard as much of this shit as I can. But as of right now, it really is just another savings account, just with better returns and tied to a more volatile market because there's no place that accepts it. Doge is nothing but a savings account. And the interest fluctuates based on how much Doge people buy and how much of it gets mined. But you can't spend it anywhere without converting it back into a US dollar. With Bitcoin, that was one of the things with that. You could go buy a Tesla with Bitcoin. You could go... apparently there are some sandwich shops and various other places out on the West Coast where you can go and buy product with Bitcoin directly or support great creators with Bitcoin. But for the most part, if you're going to use your cryptocurrency, you have to convert it back into the US dollar. Which means that it's really a little more than a savings account. Now, the fact that Elon was taking the Bitcoin for your Tesla, that made it more of a currency, but keep that in mind, that that's what this is. And in order for this stuff to take off, businesses are going to have to accept it as a direct payment, which we're not seeing right now. But regardless, that's what we're seeing from this. Really, honestly, watch the Bitcoin prices and watch what Elon is doing because he might be trying to get this stuff, get people jumped out of this. And that's one of the other things with this too is, I mean, Styx made a video talking about this and where he thinks crypto is going. And, you know, when we start to see some of these elites, like Elon Musk, who I like Elon Musk, but I do accept the fact that he is an elite, where he goes out and the government's telling you that this is going bad, where they're going to try and drive the price down so their billionaire buddies can go buy up a bunch of the stuff at a discount, and then they hold all the Bitcoin, and you are still hopelessly dependent on U.S. Currency and U.S. dollars. I don't know. It's something to think about with this, but yeah, Elon Musk is just kind of manipulating the price of this stuff, and really, honestly, I'm still going to grab some of it while it's on sale. All right. Let's move on and let's go talk about the Honorable and Venerable Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, D-Twitch, starting with Pix11, New York's very own. As gun violence rises, AOC and Schumer seek funding for Bronx anti-violence program. From James Ford. The Bronx, at a time when the number of shootings has more than doubled from a year ago and homicide murders have spiked as well, a program that's been proven to work against gun violence got big endorsements on Thursday from some bold-faced names from Washington. But the bigger question is whether or not Washington will untie its purse strings for the violence prevention program. There it is, right in the beginning. Spend, spend, spend. It's called SUV, which stands for Stand Up to Violence. Really? I thought it stood for Sports Utility Vehicle. On Thursday, Senator Charles U. Schumer joined the two local members of Congress for the area, the Honorable and Venerable Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, D-Twitch, and Jamal Bowman, to call for federal funding for the program. This program works, Senator Schumer says, but it needs some money. It needs about $400,000 more to be exact. That's how much funding local members of Congress are seeking. At a time when the federal budget is more than $4.8 trillion, the amount sought by the Bronx-based violence prevention program seems minuscule. However, it still has to be approved by a majority of Congress in both the Senate and the House. Schumer, the Senate Majority Leader, said the Minority Leader, Mitch McConnell, doesn't support funding for SUV, but that there may be enough GOP votes for it nonetheless. Could you, and this is just a wild fucking thought, could you possibly make a GoFundMe? I mean, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the Honorable and Venerable D. Twitch, can set up a GoFundMe link, much the same way that I did over on all of the platforms when we did the big suicide prevention thing. Set up a GoFundMe and go play Among Us or something fucking stupid like that for 2 hours and probably have that much money and more. Why does it have to come through Congress? I don't understand where that goes. Make the GoFundMe, say, okay, Poppy, we're going to play Among Us because the orange one is sus, okay? We're going to play that and donate whatever you can into this link here. And probably within an hour, you'll have that $400,000. Make an Instagram story about it, too, so people know that you're fucking doing it. Ocasio-Cortez said the organization has clearly shown that the funding goes to good use. It currently receives money from the state of New York and the city government. What this extra $400,000 will do, Ocasio-Cortez said at a late morning news conference at Jacobi Medical Center in front of a row of SUV workers, is, you see the people behind me, she said, pointing at them. We'll have a lot more of them. One of the leaders of SUV is Kion Reed. He said that one hallmark of his organization is that they're always on the clock, and it's even more strongly realized when there's a shooting. Once that shot goes off, that's our bell, he said in an interview. We're then called to come, and it doesn't matter what time it is. He continued, that bullet goes off and we appear. He attributed that kind of availability as being key to the organization's effectiveness. Even though shootings have been on the rise in the city over the past year, SUV has seen a 52% drop in the likelihood of their participants being injured in another act of violence after they become involved in the program. It was founded by Jacobi Medical Center, Dr. Noe Romo, in 2014. While its results show that it's been effective, the congressional endorsements are a call for SUV to do even more. So, a couple things going on with that, and I don't know why it needs to be federally funded. I don't. Why can't it be locally funded? Why can't it be privately funded? You guys have the ability, and Cortez has this massive audience. Like I said, she could just pop on a 10-second Instagram story with the link to a GoFundMe. With the title over the top of it says, donate now to support SUV. And have that $400,000 cleared within a day. I promise you. But regardless, they're going to still try to demand it come from the government, from the federal government. So we'll see what happens with that. Let's grab another one here from Fox News. AOC says answer to violent crime is to stop building more jails. From Thomas Barabi. I know what the answer to violent crime is, but you guys won't listen to me. Democratic Representative, the Honorable and Venerable Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, D. Twitch, argued Thursday that authorities should stop building prisons and instead focus on underlying public health issues as New York City seeks to address a recent surge in violent crime. New York Democrats, including the Honorable and Venerable Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, D. Twitch, Majority Leader Charles U. Schumer, and Representative Jamal Bowman, who I don't have a weird and clever nickname for yet, called on Congress to earmark $400,000 toward a program called Stand Up to Violence, which seeks to address gun violence through counseling and community outreach. Ocasio-Cortez said it was not acceptable to use jails as garbage bins. Oh, Alexandria, where do we start from this? Where do we begin? If we want to reduce violent crime, and we want to reduce the number of people in our jails, Puppy, the answer is to stop building more of them, Ocasio-Cortez said. The answer is to make sure that we actually build more hospitals. We pay organizers. We get people mental health care and overall health care, Puppy, employment, etc. is to support communities, not throw them away. And there's the tweet that goes with this. And we have a video that goes with this too. So let's read the tweet. Right here in the Bronx, Poppy, our community developed a successful approach to reducing violence. It starts at the hospital after an incident. We bring in psych doctors and folks who turn their own lives around to work with youth. It's reduced the reoccurrence of violence by more than 50%. Let's have the video from the recount.
If we want to reduce violent crime, if we want to reduce the number of people in our jails, the answer is to stop building more of them. The answer is to make sure that we actually build more hospitals, we pay organizers, we get people mental health care and overall health care, employment, etc. It's to support communities, not throw them away.
I don't think my accent and my impression are that far off. I hate to tell you this. There's still so much going on with this. There's so much we need to talk to you with this as well. And, okay. Now, the Honorable and Venerable Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez D. Twitch tells us that the answer is it's not to build the jails. And yet, she will still go on and craft more laws that need to be enforced by more police, which she's going to come out and say that all of them are bastards, and continue to fill up these jails with people who are going to meet the violent criminals and learn how to survive against the violent criminals and then get out for a relatively white-collar crime or a small potato crime. They'll wind up in some of these facilities a little bit more hardened. I've always said the easiest way to start solving the crime pandemic is to relax some of the laws. You don't need to go to jail for smoking a joint. Hell, you don't need to go to jail for simple distribution. Now, if you have 10 million child slaves across the country that are growing and tending to plants so you can make a massive distribution effort to go into schools, yeah, children can't consent and you should probably go away for a little while. But if John, the happy drug dealer, is going out and selling an eighth to Harold the happy fucking hippie for, I don't even know what the going rate is for pot anymore because I haven't bought it since I was 19. If those two want to engage in a simple transaction, why the fuck not? Seriously, it's a matter of scale. You know, some of these other things, jaywalking, traffic violation, failure to pay forfeiture, all of these small potato crimes that you don't need to put somebody in jail for. Don't hurt people, don't take their stuff. Reduce your criminal code to that, and you would see a lot of this violent crime drop. You'd have a lot fewer repeat offenders because you'd have a lot fewer people going away for the first time. But regardless, that is what we're seeing with that. And no, it's not to stop building jails. You have so many jails because you have so many things that are illegal in this country. Hell, people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez want to put people in jail for speaking out against the government, for redressing their grievances against the government in a government building. She wants all of those people put away. Probably about 5 to 10% of them were violent. And she wants still all of them put in the clink forever. So that's what they're seeing with that. Let's grab one from the Daily Wire. People call out Charles U. Schumer's reaction as AOC claims an answer to violent crime is not building jails, from Ryan Saavedra. I've not read this one, but I'm very interested in this, and I want to see. By the way, the Factual Prep, who I believe follows me, was one of those that got into this. So congratulations to Caitlin for that one. For getting featured in the Daily Small Hat. I probably shouldn't have said that out loud. Social media users called out Thursday The reaction to the daily Democrat Senate Majority Leader Charles U. Schumer had earlier on in the day when he stood next to far-left Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez D-Twitch as she claimed that the solution to reducing violent crime was to stop building new prisons. If we want to reduce violent crime, if we want to reduce the number of people in our jails, the answer is to stop building more of them. Yeah, we read all that already. Social media users called attention to Schumer's response, or lack thereof, as AOC Biscuit made the highly controversial remarks. Caitlin tweets out, the Senate Majority Leader, a Democrat, stood next to AOC as she said we need to stop building jails and arguing against them. Cambry says, why the hell did Chuck Schumer just stand there and listen to this train wreck? Schumer is playing AOC's tune. Why is he even there? Does he actually buy into this nonsense? Or is he that terrified of the primary threat from the bartender? Saw this with his loathsome cowardice, RE anti-Jewish violence during the Israel-Hamas fighting. What a loser. Wow, Senator Schumer did nothing as she said it. So I guess I don't know exactly what's going on with this and what he did. So let's go watch this video again and see.
If we want to reduce violent crime, if we want to reduce the number of people in our jails, the answer is to stop building more of them. The answer is to make sure that we actually build more hospitals, we pay organizers, we get people mental health care and overall health care, employment, etc. It's to support communities, not throw them away. If we want...
Okay, is there something else here?
Our complete gutting of support in our mental health system, both in the city and across the country, is absolutely correlated with both homelessness and incidents of violent crime. When you actually open the door to a jail and look at who's inside, an enormous amount of people are dealing with untreated mental health issues. And it is not acceptable for us to use jails as garbage bins for human beings. We need to treat people and see them as human.
Okay, I see where they're going with that, because everybody else, and I was about to say the same thing. I'm like, nobody else did anything behind her either while she was talking. But okay, now I see there at the end where everybody else started clapping and Schumer just kind of stood there and didn't do jack shit. So, yeah, I see what we're saying here. I see what we're going on and doing this with. Really, honestly, just make some fewer laws. That's where we need to go with this. But that's what people are calling out on this, and that's what they think the solution is. Just stop building more jails, and then if we don't have any jails, then we can't put more people in there, and that solves the problem. Okay, well, we'll see what happens with that. And yeah, reduce some of the violent crimes and get some of the people who were violent criminals, or who were non-violent criminals, I should say, out of the prisons. But hey, why would we do something that makes sense in a free nation? Why would we actually want to be free? All right, let's keep going. I got to shift some gears here. Let's talk about infrastructure for a second. From Eyewitness News, ABC 7 out of Los Angeles, Biden proposes minimum corporate tax rate to fund $1 trillion infrastructure spending. From Allison Pecorin, President Joe Biden proposed an infrastructure package worth $1 trillion in a new spending that would be funded without raising the corporate tax rate during a meeting on Wednesday with top Republican negotiator on the package. The new pitch aims to avoid Republican scorn by sidestepping the president's previously proposed corporate tax rate hike. It would instead implement a minimum corporate tax rate of 15% aimed at some of the most profitable corporations in the country. Really? You haven't had your ass kicked by this enough times? The proposal marks a concession on the overall cost of the bill from Biden, whose last pitch was worth $700 billion more, but Biden has not won over Republicans with this modified tax proposal, a GOP source familiar with negotiations told ABC News. Republicans have been clear from the onset of negotiations that they do not support raising the corporate tax rate because they do not want to modify former President Donald Trump's signature tax reform legislation. During a briefing on Thursday, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki argued that by raising the minimum rate, the 2017 tax bill would not be altered. So, hold on. We're going to alter the tax rate, and that's not going to alter the tax bill. What? And furthermore, and I mean, Randy brings up a very good point here, we've already kicked away and pissed away 20,000 jobs in this country, and now we're starting to see more of them go away. John was talking about this on the generational gap the other night. We're starting to see more of them go away because of what the fuck is the word I'm looking for? I'm drawing a blank right now. Because of increased regulations, that's it. We're starting to see more of them go away on increased regulations. And now you want to raise the corporate tax rate on people who hire and make it harder to hire people. Meanwhile, getting ready to start kicking people off unemployment. Really? This is your winning strategy right here? A Republican rejection of the Biden tax modifications could leave the negotiations once again stalled over proposing funding models. The president has been clear that he doesn't support any tax hikes on people making less than $400,000 a year, something Republicans look to overcome by proposing to raise revenue by repurposing funds from previous COVID-19 relief bills. The admin said those funds aren't as bountiful as Republicans think. There is a tiny minimal amount left, Psaki said on Thursday. It is certainly going to pay for the vast majority of these proposals. Senator Shelley Moore Capito, who's leading Republican negotiations on infrastructure, is scheduled to reconnect with Biden on Friday. A Republican source familiar with the talks told ABC News that Republicans expect to make a counteroffer during the Friday meeting. Psaki on Thursday said discussions between the admin and Republicans are continuing in good faith and refused to set a deadline for talks, but the Monday deadline for progress set by Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg this past Sunday is drawing near. The back and forth over infrastructure has gone on for weeks now, with top-line figures for both parties eking gradually towards one another. The most recent Republican offer proposed $928 billion in infrastructure spending, but included only about $250 billion in new spending over what would have already been federally authorized to address infrastructure. The newest White House offer of $1 trillion is entirely new money. The sizable cost difference between the package is, in part, due to fundamental disagreements about the scope of the bill. So, a lot of stuff moving here, and Old Joe says he's willing to go back on the other direction, which I think is going to piss off a lot of his base too, a lot of the people who were fans of his. But we are starting to see some moving closer. Really, honestly, we should be stopping spending at this point. They keep saying, we don't want to raise the taxes on anybody except those evil super rich. Well, why raise taxes on anybody at this point? Step aside. You're starting to rebuild from a massive pandemic, and you keep losing on the jobs reports too, by the way, left and right, and you can't get to that million jobs added that you keep thinking that you're going to get to. Just stand aside and let the market work itself out. Draw back the unemployment, start making the requirements back in where people have to go out and start looking for jobs, and see where your tax receipts go. But this is a party right now that doesn't believe in doing something that doesn't involve massive government intervention. That's not what your country can do for you. That shit's gone, unfortunately, and it's lame. All right, let's grab one here from the Wall Street Journal. Biden signals flexibility on taxes for infrastructure. I think this is going to be a lot of the same information that we just looked at here, but let's have a look. From Christina Peterson, Andrew Restuccia, and Richard Rubin. President Biden signaled he could accept a narrower infrastructure package that didn't include raising the corporate tax rate, telling a top Senate Republican that he wants $1 trillion in new spending and floating alternative ways to pay for the measure, according to people briefed on the matter. The new proposal, which includes a minimum corporate tax rate of 15% for the nation's largest companies and a repurposing of some COVID-19 aid funding, marks a late shift from the White House as Mr. Biden and Senate Republicans kick off what is expected to be a final flurry of talks on the size of the infrastructure plan and how we fund it. During a Wednesday meeting with Senator Shelley Moore, Capito, Mr. Biden put forward a $1 trillion proposal, down from $1.7 trillion previously, and outlined options to pay for the spending that wouldn't boost the corporate tax rate to 28% from 21% as he previously proposed. Republicans have called any effort to boost the corporate tax rate or unwind the Republicans' 2017 tax law a non-starter. On Thursday, GOP aides signaled skepticism of many of Biden's ideas. Some Democratic lawmakers have urged the White House to move ahead without Republican support, while others have supported continuing the talks. And there is something you do need to keep in mind with this. And we talked about this when they kept talking about the filibuster and the budget reconciliation plan. We talked about it yesterday, that the parliamentarian came out and said, you get one more budget reconciliation to sidestep Republicans. And it's starting to look right now that part of this negotiation, part of the fact that Biden is moving closer to the $928 billion that Republicans proposed, part of this is looking right now like they decided that they don't want to blow their wad on this one. That they've got something bigger and more ominous that they want to spend a whole bunch more money on. And they don't want to blow it on this. So they're building something that they can get Republican support behind so that they've got something else to spend on. It's interesting. And I just thought of this now. It is interesting that this came the day after the parliamentarian said, no, you can't sidestep anymore. You get one more of these on budget reconciliation. You don't get a third one. That interests me. That really does. So I'm not sure where this goes. I'm not sure where this ends and lands and what's going to happen with this, but I'd like to see it. I'd like to see a little bit of back and forth between the two sides in Washington. I want them to stop spending money, but that's never going to happen. But we will see what happens with this. All right, let's grab one from the Hill. Rand Paul calls planned Fauci book science fiction, from Lexi Lonas. Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky on Thursday called Anthony Fauci's planned book on the coronavirus pandemic science fiction. The book, developed by National Geographic, titled Expect the Unexpected, 10 Lessons on Truth, Service, and the Way Forward, was taken off Amazon and other sites as a spokesperson told The Hill. It was prematurely posted for pre-sale. Oh, I don't know. I think they should publish it, Paul tweeted. I love science fiction. Fauci, the nation's top infectious disease expert, and Paul have clashed multiple times before the necessity of wearing masks and the origin of the coronavirus. I just don't understand what the problem is with him, Fauci said in an interview after Paul accused the National Institute of Health of sending funding to a lab in Wuhan. Fauci came under criticism after the announcement of the books, as many accused him of making money from the pandemic. Oh, he's making a lot of money from the pandemic. As long as he can keep you afraid, he is making a lot of money from the pandemic. He will not earn any royalties from its publication or from the upcoming documentary, the spokesperson for National Geographic said. Yep, okay, tell me more. Paul has stated he's not getting coronavirus vaccine due to the natural immunity he has from having the virus in March of 2020. Until they show me evidence that people who have already had the infection are dying in large numbers or being hospitalized or getting very sick, I just made my own personal decision that I'm not getting vaccinated because I've already had the disease and I have natural immunity, Paul said. Well, you got to get your booster shot every year, don't you know? Get that booster shot. But that's what we see. I don't know. Spicy Rand is the best Rand. That's what I have to say about that. All right, let's grab one here from NBC News. George P. Bush running for Attorney General in Texas. That's right. There's another Bush, and his name is George. I don't know why. The son of a former Florida governor and nephew and grandson of two former presidents is challenging an embattled incumbent. Is this Jeb's kid? Really? And he's got to be George. George P. Bush, this is by the Associated Press, George P. Bush on Wednesday launched his next political move, a run for Texas Attorney General in 2022 that puts the scion of a Republican dynasty against a GOP incumbent, shadowed by securities fraud charges and an FBI investigation. Donate to Ken Paxton now. Everybody. He might not be perfect, but he's not a fucking Bush. Bush, who has served as Texas's land commissioner since 2015, is the son of a former Florida governor, Jeb Bush, and the nephew and grandson of two former presidents. He is the last of the Bush family still in public office. Good. Get him the fuck out of there. And was the first to break with them over supporting former President Donald Trump, who has mocked the family that was once the face of the Republican Party. It's a trap. It's a trap. He's now launching the first major challenge against embattled Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, who has spent 6 years in office under felony indictment over accusations of defrauding investors and more recently was accused of bribery by his own former top aides. Here in Texas, we have a scandal that is plaguing one of our highest offices, and I believe conservatives should have a choice, Bush said at a campaign kickoff rally in Austin. Bush, 45, said he spoke with two Texas AGs who preceded Paxton, Republican Governor Greg Abbott and U.S. Senator John Cornyn, after the latest accusations surfaced but would not go into details. There's concern there, and that's why I'm willing to go out there and offer myself, because everyone else has been quiet and afraid to tell the truth about this guy, Bush said. Paxton's campaign responded with a statement that made no mention of the accusations against him. Texans know Attorney General Paxton's rock-solid conservative record. Paxton spokesperson Ian Pryor said, I'm willing to hear the evidence against Paxton and see what he's doing and see if this is something to look into or not. But if your alternative is a fucking Bush, and not just a Bush, that's the worst part, because, we've got Cori Bush out there too. And she's definitely not one of the same Bushes. But your alternative is a fucking Bush, and one of those Bushes on top of it. No! No. Didn't we learn our lesson the last two fucking times? Didn't we learn our lesson the last two times we had to go through this? That we had to deal with this bullshit. And then he goes on, and he's the AG for a little while, and he says, you know what, I might go run for president. Bippity-fockety fucking boom, we're back in the Middle East. Even deeper than we were before. No more Bushes in politics. A Bush should never even be the dog catcher at this point. No more Bushes. No more Clintons. No more Bushes. Just exile them. Make a constitutional amendment. You shall not run for office if your last name is Bush or Clinton. All right, let's grab another one here. Lobbying firm linked to Hunter Biden probed by Justice Department. Report from Mark Moore. A consulting firm linked to Hunter Biden that did work for Burisma, the Ukrainian energy company that paid the Biden scion $83,000 a month to sit on its board, is under investigation by the Justice Department, according to a report on Thursday. Blue Star Strategies is being probed by potential illegal lobbying after it took on Burisma as a client while Hunter was on its board, Politico reported. Hey man, I got a childhood stutter, man, and I can't talk sometimes. The U.S. Attorney's Office in Delaware, which is already investigating Hunter for possible tax violations, is working with lawyers in the Justice Department's National Security Division in Washington, D.C., the report said. Excuse me. One aspect of the investigation is whether Blue Star failed to comply with Foreign Agents Registration Act that requires Americans to disclose lobbying work in foreign entities. The report noted that there's no indication that Hunter is a target of the investigation, and Karen Tramontano, one of the firm's co-founders, testified that the president's son did not direct any of Blue Star's work on behalf of Burisma. Hunter's association with Burisma was the subject of a series of exposés the Post published last October and highlighted his questionable foreign business dealings, and his father's involvement. Blue Star, a high-powered Washington lobbying firm that also has offices in Brussels, Buenos Aires, Paris, and Vienna, took on Burisma as a client in November of 2015. The energy company's founder has been caught up in a dispute between British authorities over millions of dollars and was hit with accusations of corruption by the then U.S. ambassador to the Ukraine. Mykola Zlochevsky, Ukraine's Natural Resources Minister, from July 2010 to April 2012, controlled Burisma. So there's more stuff going on with Hunter Biden. And it's kind of funny and telling that, I mean, this was almost swallowed up by the Fauci email thing. And I probably, if I'd have read the emails yesterday, like I said I was going to, I probably wouldn't even be talking about this right now. I got off air and I said I was going to go read the emails from Fauci. I didn't do that because the power went out. And then I decided to do other shit instead. But, I mean, this is completely overshadowed. Which I do have to wonder if the Fauci email thing was done by design, too. So, a lot of stuff to see here, a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of stuff to wonder about when we look at something like this. But, yeah, there's still more going on in the Hunter story. And y'all knew there was going to be. But this cocky little prick is on the other side of it. From The Hill, Hunter Biden says he was hoping for Trump attack during the presidential debate. From Dominic Mastrangelo. President Biden's son Hunter Biden said he was hoping former President Trump would attack him over his previous drug and alcohol abuse when Trump debated his father last year in the run-up to the 2020 presidential election. The one thing I was hoping for was the attack from Donald Trump because I knew my dad would answer from his heart, Biden said during a recent appearance on Donnie Deutsch's podcast. And I knew that my dad would answer in a way that would speak to the millions and millions of people that have someone that they love, or they themselves, that has suffered from the disease of addiction. Trump, during the first debate between the two candidates in September, claimed that Hunter got thrown out of the military. He was thrown out dishonorably, discharged for cocaine use. Joe Biden shot back in defense of his son. My son, man, like a lot of people you know at home, had a drug problem, Biden said. He's overtaken it. He's fixed it. He's worked on it, and I'm proud of him. Hunter Biden called Trump's attack on him a gift to his father's campaign and an opportunity to show his compassion and forgiveness. I knew in that instant that they handed me a gift to show everyone exactly who my dad was as a parent, he said. My dad didn't say that my addiction was an excuse for anything. No, that's true. You're absolutely right, Hunter. Yeah, your dad can forgive you. But 1994 crime bill Joe Biden couldn't forgive the fathers of thousands of children who have to sit back and wonder why daddy's never coming home because he's in prison for simple drug use because of your 1994 crime bill, especially in California where Kamala Harris was the prosecutor. So yes, okay, he can make exceptions for you, his kid. But tell that to the millions of families who lost fathers, mothers, and otherwise for committing the same crimes. And I don't think these crimes are right. These things should not be crimes. But I do love the hypocrisy of this. Is okay, man, I can forgive my kid because he's my kid and he overcame it. But your daddy, little girl? Yeah, no, he's going to fucking prison, man. Because I said so in 1994. All right, let's grab another one here from ABC News. Mike Pence says he may never see eye to eye with Donald Trump on the January 6th Capitol Selfie Fest. From Quinn Scanlon. Former Vice President Mike Pence hit another presidential early voting state Thursday evening, fueling 2024 campaign speculation by headlining the Hillsborough County Republican Committee's annual Lincoln-Reagan dinner in Manchester, New Hampshire. If he's going to run for president, Thursday night's speech highlighted the disagreement with his former boss, who also a possible challenger for the GOP nomination, over how he views the January 6th Capitol Selfie Fest. Near the end of his 30-minute speech, Pence talked about the January 6th attack on the Capitol, and while he called it a dark day, he glossed over some of the horror of it, saying that with swift action the Capitol Police and federal law enforcement, violence was quelled. Pence did not discuss how former President Trump's false claims of a stolen election fueled the rioting. because he knows that he would lose all support with the Republican Party if he did. I mean, this is not hard. This is not rocket science. Here we go with the lies from ABC. 5 people were killed as a result of the rioting, including Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick. False. 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 1 person died, and she was killed by a Capitol Police officer. 1 person died because he tased himself in the fucking nads. While another police officer involved in the fighting died by suicide in the wake of the attack. I would say Arkansas, not suicide. Dozens of other law enforcement personnel suffered injuries and discussed the brutal hand-to-hand combat with rioters. But he did make a notable admission about how he and Trump viewed that day. President Trump and I have spoken many times since we left office, Pence told the crowd in Manchester. And I don't know if we'll ever see eye to eye on that day, but I will always be proud of what we accomplished for the American people over the last 4 years. Pence was in the Capitol when supporters of Trump pushed through barriers and attacked police officers in a bid to stop counting of the electoral votes that confirmed Joe Biden as president. As Pence oversaw the count, Trump called for his number 2 to overturn the results, despite no mechanism to do so. The calls from Trump and his supporters led to angry chants from protesters to hang Mike Pence as he rejected any notion of overturning the election results. Yet Pence went on to say Thursday, "I will not allow Democrats or their allies in the media to use this day to discredit the aspirations of millions of Americans." The former vice president spent much of the speech touting what he viewed as the Trump administration's accomplishments and blasting the Biden admin's first few months in office, including their explosion of runaway spending. So, if he is bidding, he's doing a really good job of this, because I know ABC News wants him to come out and say, well, the orange man is evil. He's very evil. He's the most evil person. But keep in mind that there is still a large swath, and I would counter millions of people who still wear the red hat. I go by every day when I go by on my way to work. Well, not so much anymore because they closed that road and I have to go around. But before they closed one of the last legs of the journey when I go to work, there is a gigantic, like bigger than 6x10 sign. Actually, I think it is 6x10. Trump Pence sign on the way to work. When I go over to the campground that my cousin runs, that my parents camp at, on the last road before I go there, the second to last road before I go there, there are no less than 6 Trump signs prominently on that road, and it's a major highway. So, that goes across the top of Wisconsin. There are no more than 6. If Mike Pence really wants to be president, which God knows, I don't know why the fuck he would ever want to be, given how they treated him while he was in office. If he wants to be president, he has to reach out to those people. And he can't sit back and badmouth their messiah, because they will not vote for him, and he will lose in a landslide if he doesn't reach across the aisle to these people. Whatever he thinks about what happened that day, and I don't know, I'm not in his head, he is never going to come out and be public for that. If he really is intent on being the president at some point, he's never going to say those words, ever. Which is probably a good thing for him. So yeah, no. This fucking puff piece here from ABC. Whoa, Mike Pence wouldn't come out and say bad things about his former boss. No fucking shit. Half of the base that he wants to vote for him worships his former boss as a religious icon. Alright, let's grab another one here from The Hill. Whitmer proposes using $300 million of virus aid to boost minimum wage. From Michael Schnell. Don't recall me, please! Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer on Thursday proposed using the $300 million in federal COVID-19 funding to help businesses in the state offer $15 an hour minimum wage to employees. The Associated Press reported that under Whitmer's proposal, state grants would fund the difference between the employee's current per-hour pay and $15 for 3 months, as long as businesses pledge to continue the $15 pay for at least 3 subsequent months. Yeah, I don't see where this doesn't end well. The plan, however, has to be approved by the Republican-controlled legislature before it can go into effect, the AP noted. The proposal is part of the larger economic plan that the governor presented at a women's business center in Grand Rapids. According to the Wire service, she did not, however, disclose how many employees the plan would impact. The economic plan also includes funding for new programs that would send adults ages 25 and older and frontline workers to community college tuition free, according to the Associated Press. Whitmer also emphasized the need for $300 million to offer grants and loans to small businesses that are struggling and called attention to her budget proposal that advocates for the spending access to no or low-cost childcare to families that are at 200% of the federal poverty line, the Wire service reported. Whitmer's new proposal comes as the U.S. continues to face a worker shortage. A Tuesday report by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce found that the worker shortage crisis in the country has continued to worsen in the past months. The Chamber determined that while there was an increase of 600,000 vacant jobs in the U.S. from February to March, the number of available workers per job, 1.4, is now half of what the national average has been for the past 20 years. The group also brought attention to the April jobs report, which said 266,000 jobs were created when analysts had expected upwards of 1 million. And this, I hate to tell you this, this is Republican governors, Gretchen Whitmer, basically holding a gun to the businesses. Because what do you think is going to happen to these workers? Because here's what it is. The pledge is, we will give you this money so you can pay your employees $15 an hour for 3 months. But you have to continue paying them for $15 an hour after 3 months. But you can do whatever the hell you want after that. Just do whatever. It doesn't matter. Do whatever you want after that. What employee is going to stick around if they go back to... I don't even know what the minimum wage is in Michigan. What the fuck is it? Let's find out. Let's see what it is. $9.45 an hour. So you make $15 an hour for 6 months. And now you're suddenly getting knocked back to $9.45 an hour. And that's a worst case scenario. You're suddenly getting back to $9.45 an hour. How long do you think these businesses are going to keep employees at that point? And some of them aren't going to be able to afford to keep paying the $15 an hour. That's a sad reality. Most of your small businesses popping up are going to be able to because they budgeted for it. But some of them are not. And some of them, the value of the labor is not worth that much. Especially if you get out into rural Michigan, where the cost of living is super low. So this is gun to head. She comes out and she offers them a whole bunch of money. And they take the money because they make the pledge, and then 6 months later, here we are, looking at my budget. Oh shit! How am I gonna pay payroll this month? I don't know. What am I gonna do? And you either lose the job and you lose the business and you lose the jobs associated with it, or they continue to run in the red, begging for more government help. One of the two. Or furthermore, we continue to devalue the currency. But I don't get it. All right, let's grab one from CNBC. A little bit of business news for you guys. United Airlines will buy 15 ultra-fast airplanes from startup Boom Supersonic. From Phil LeBeau. United Airlines is planning to turn friendly skies into the ultra-fast skies with the addition of supersonic jets. The carrier announced on Thursday it's buying 15 planes from Boom Supersonic with the option to purchase 35 more at some point. Boom's first commercial supersonic jet, the Overture, has not been built or certified yet. It's targeting the start of passenger services in 2029 with a plane that could fly at Mach 1.7 and cut some flight times in half. That means a flight from New York to London that typically lasts 7 hours would only take 3.5 hours. Boom's vision for the future of commercial aviation, combined with the industry's most robust network in the world, will give business and leisure travelers access to stellar flight experience. I'm starting to sound like Biden here. I must have been talking for a while. While the terms of the sale were not disclosed, the companies believe the deal will generate immediate benefits. Since it was founded in 2014, the Denver-based Boom Supersonic has raised $270 million in capital and has grown to 150 employees. For founder and CEO Blake Scholl, landing a firm order with Legacy Airline validates his vision of bringing back supersonic flights. The Supersonic Concorde flew commercial flights from 1976 until October of 2003. The world's first purchase agreement for net zero carbon supersonic aircraft marks a significant step toward our mission to create a more accessible world, Scholl said in a statement. For United, ordering Boom supersonic jets fits with the strategy Kirby has outlined since becoming CEO a year ago. Kirby is aggressively trying to develop opportunities for the airline. Earlier this year, United took a stake in eVTOL startup Archer Aviation. I don't know what eVTOL is. Let's have a look. Vertical flight. All electric or hybrid electric powered vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. That's interesting too. It really is. While partnering with Mesa Airlines to order 200 electric aircrafts being designed to fly short distances. That came after United announced a multi-million-dollar investment in carbon capture startup and committed to be carbon neutral by 2050. Part of what made buying supersonic jets appealing to United is Boom's plan to power the planes with engines that will run on sustainable aviation fuel. So, I like all of this. I really do. I do have questions about air traffic control because, obviously, especially if you're going to be doing in domestic flights across the country at supersonic speeds. Well, that would be really cool because it took, 4 hours to go from Midway to Phoenix when I went the last time. It took 4 hours to do that, and to do that in 2, I think would be really cool. Plus, and I know the Concorde has been there, so I know that it's possible to run commercially on a supersonic flight because they did it. But I do question the training because I know that the G's that are involved in supersonic flight for fighter pilots tend to be very brutal on the body. I know I was looking into that as a career path before I realized that these were going to bar me from it. But I do have a lot of questions. I've got a lot of questions with this. But I like the idea that they're doing this and the free market is coming up to try and make some of the solutions. I like carbon neutral stuff. I just don't like that the government mandates it. But I really, really like carbon neutral stuff. I think that's cool that people are going out there and they've got that much of a concern to do so. And if we can also do this while increasing the speed of flight times where people can, be in Chicago and a couple hours later be in Phoenix, spend more time with their families. That's cool. I like that. I like the mechanics of it. I'd love to see what these engines are running on. And the electric planes, which I wouldn't trust that going over the ocean just yet. Eventually, we're probably going to get to the point where we're going electric over the ocean, too. I just wouldn't do it right now, because that's a really, really long flight. And that's a long time for new technology to go wrong. But even still, this is a step in the right direction, and I'm glad to see it. And I'm glad to see the free market doing it. So we'll see what happens with that. Briefly from CNN Business. On the same note, United plans supersonic flights by 2029. So a lot of this is going to be the same information. United Airlines announced a deal to buy 15 supersonic jets, planning to carry passengers on the ultra-fast planes by 2029. If the airline can follow through with its plan, these will be the first commercial supersonic flights since the grounding of the Concorde jet in 2003. The economics of that fuel-guzzling supersonic jet and restrictions on flying over land at speeds that would produce a sonic boom doomed the Concorde. Airlines had to try and fill the plane with passengers willing to pay a substantial premium over a first-class ticket on a traditional craft. United is buying the supersonic jet from Boom Supersonic, a privately held upstart aircraft maker based in Denver. The plane, dubbed the Overture, is slated to be completed by 2025, start test flights by 2026, and carry passengers by 2029. United has agreed to buy 15 of the jets with options for 35 more. The plane is slated to fly at Mach 1.7, or roughly twice as fast as today's commercial jets. It will be able to fly from United's hub in Newark, New Jersey to London in just 3.5 hours. It could make Newark to Frankfurt trip in 4 hours and San Francisco to Tokyo in just 6 hours. Another lofty but unproven goal for Boom's Overture, it plans to fly on 100% sustainable aviation fuel, which would allow it to be the first aircraft to begin with net zero carbon flights. I have questions about that too, because sustainable aviation fuel, which seems to be like something that would be renewable, like biodiesel or something like that, does seem to be a little bit different from net zero, but I'm interested. You've caught my attention, and I want to see where this goes. I love the idea too of the free market doing this. I really do. I'm a free market guy, and I want to see it. So we'll see what happens with that. But hey, start planning your trips now, I guess. 2029 will be here before you know it. I want to go to Denver and see this place, actually. I really do. All right. A little bit of sad news coming from Flyover Country. Judge rebuffs Noam's bid for July 4th fireworks at Mount Rushmore. From Rachel Frazen and John Cruzel. A federal judge in South Dakota on Wednesday denied a bid by the state's Republican governor, Kristi Noem, to hold a fireworks display at Mount Rushmore to celebrate Independence Day after her request for a permit was denied by the Biden administration. In a 36-page ruling, the U.S. District Judge Roberto Lang declined to enter a preliminary judgment in Noem's favor, finding that her suit against federal officials was unlikely to ultimately prevail. This court fully understands the state's position and why this suit was brought, wrote Lang, an Obama nominee, but under governing law, the state is unlikely to succeed on the merits of its claims, has not met the requirements of the interim legal relief. Specifically, he determined that the denial was not arbitrary and capricious, as the state contended, because he said reasons given for the denial were not irrational or particularly implausible. He also wrote that while the government was required to explain its difference in opinion between approving fireworks last year and denying them this year, officials did acknowledge the prior event and explained how the problems related to it factored into their decision. Lang wrote that if the situation had been reversed and a group was seeking to block a permit issued by the National Park Service for such a display, this court almost certainly would have denied a preliminary injunction to any group seeking to prohibit such a display from occurring. Noem, who's seen as potential Republican presidential candidate, had asked the court to temporarily halt a decision by the Biden admin to reject the state's request for a fireworks display. The governor said in a statement that she'd appeal the ruling. This is all politics. Every single part of this. Noem didn't shut her state down for the commie fucking coof, and the Trump administration awarded her last year with having the permit, which with the commie coof would have been very difficult to obtain, to have a massive fireworks show out in South Dakota where there were no restrictions. And now the National Park Service, under a different president, is saying, no, you didn't get punished last year, so you're getting punished this year. So yes, she should be suing, and shame on this judge. I understand it's a federal property, it's a national park, but still, shame. It's one of the biggest national monuments in the country. And it celebrates 4 of our great leaders. So yes, they should be able to have the fireworks display there. And to bring millions of dollars in tourism into the state of South Dakota, which I'm guessing is what they're trying to block right now. But yeah, this is all politics. There's no reasoning behind this. The rest of the country is opened up at this point. Hell, you can go into Illinois and go into places with no mask on. So you look at something like this and you see pure politics and you wonder why I'm suspicious. This is why I'm suspicious. All right, couple more, then we will do the live chat for the day and head on out of here. We might get to go and raid Stephen Ingramus today too, because it looks like we're going to push just past 9, which means he'll be on. All right, from ESPN, Cleveland Indians narrowing betting final list of new team names. From the Dissociated Press. We read a lot from the Dissociated Press lately. They've been just contributing to every single news source. Like expecting parents, the Cleveland Indians are trying to settle on a name. It's proving to be a tedious testing process, the team said Thursday. It now has a final list from the initial pool of nearly 1,200 entries. It is vetting possible team names for legal purposes after months of research and discussions with fans. By the way, if you guys are lurking right now, which let's see how many people are watching, and then we'll see who's lurking. Looks like we have the mighty 10 people watching, so if you're lurking right now, we're going to read the chat and the live chat and the names of everybody in the live chat coming up here in just a second. And remember, if your comment is sufficiently bigoted, hateful, or stupid, it will raise the intellectual level of this program and will be read on air. So make sure you get those last minute messages in. Why do I only have 6 minutes on the clock, I wonder? Did I get kicked off? Let's go have a look. I hope I didn't get kicked off. No, 119 is what it's saying here. And Unicycle Man just donated 2 ice creams too, by the way. I just looked over there and saw that. I've got monitors up here so I can see when this stuff happens. Thank you, Unicycle Man, for the ice creams. All right, anyway. The team said Thursday it now has a final list from an initial pool of nearly 1,200 entries. It is vetting the possible team names for legal purposes after months of research and discussions with fans. In December, the Indians said they were changing the name for the first time since 1915. The decision came during a national movement to remove and replace prejudicial names and symbols, after a strong push from Native American groups who deemed the existing names racist. And by Native American groups, they mean college students who didn't have enough to do. The team began meeting with groups of fans in February based on these discussions and feedback from the meetings, and community leaders, local influencers, staff members. The team concluded that the new name needed to be connect with the city, preserve the team's history, and unite the community. The initial list of 1,198 names. It is not known how many names are being given final consideration for what will be the club's new identity. Owner Paul Dolan told the Associated Press in December that the new name will not have any Native American themes or connotations. Well, you should probably look at your other team name in that city because I think somebody's going to be coming for the Cleveland Browns next. We've engaged our fans and community in many aspects of our team name process, says Curtis Danberg, the team's Vice President of Communications and Community Impact. We felt it was important to share our research journey and what we've learned so far. The forthcoming name change sparked a lively debate among Cleveland fans, some wanting the club to remain the Indians. Although the most popular names pushed by fans on social media are the Spiders, Guardians, and Avengers. Dating back to 1865, Cleveland's baseball team has previously been called the Spiders, Blues, and Forest Cities. Once the Indians have selected their final name choices, they'll draft options for logos, word marks, and other brand elements. The club will also work with Major League Baseball to ensure legal viabilities. So, and of course, Chief Wahoo Chief Wahoo has already been gone. So, there it is. My biggest question for this is not what happens to the Cleveland Indians. I don't care about that. My biggest question in this entire situation is, are we still allowed to watch Major League? Because that's the most important question. And even though I'm not a Brewers fan, I still recognize the legendarity of the legendary Bob Uecker. And he was prominently featured in that movie. All right, last one. North Carolina County bans Coke vending machines in attempt to cancel company. From Emma Mayer. A North Carolina county decided to ban Coca-Cola vending machines in its new office buildings after the company outwardly expressed criticism over Georgia's new voting restrictions. North Carolina's Surry County decided to remove the machines after the Atlanta-based soft drink released a statement on April 1st to express their disappointment over the voting laws passed in Georgia in March. We want to be crystal clear and state unambiguously that we are disappointed with the outcome of the Georgia voting election, Coca-Cola statement, written by Chairman and CEO James Quincy, read throughout Georgia's legislative session. We provided feedback to members of both legislative chambers and political parties opposing measures in the bills that would diminish or deter access to voting. We all have a duty to protect everyone's right to vote, and we will continue to stand up for what is right in Georgia and across the U.S., Quincy concluded. Surrey County Commissioners, who were all Republican, voted last month to remove the vending machines, but Winston-Salem, North Carolina, television station WXII reported they have yet to be taken out. Eddie Harris, one of Surrey County's commissioners, told WXII in a video interview that removing the vending machines was a way for the county to stand against cancel culture. The left wing in America, they defund, they boycott, they cancel, they tear down statues, all sorts of egregious actions, Harris said. The expectation from them is the opposing political side will cower in the corner, and we're supposed to accept that, and it's supposed to be okay, and it's not okay. We are trying to cancel Coca-Cola, he said, to use their tactics against them. Good fucking luck. You have one of the biggest companies in the world who people, for inexplicable reasons, drink left and right. You think you're going to do this? You think you're going to make this work? I applaud the effort, by the way. If you don't agree with somebody, let's like me in Walmart, and I've said this numerous times, and me in Burger King, and now me in Target, all these three things. Walmart, because of their big soapbox stance on 5.56 ammo, I said they didn't need my money anymore. It's, I'm sure that like Kohl's and like McDonald's, Taco Bell, Five Below, I'm sure all these other places out here too, their political beliefs of their CEOs, of their corporate boards, don't agree with me either. I'm sure that all of them do. I'm sure that Pepsi doesn't agree with me politically. But the thing of it is I don't know. And that's the glorious part. See, I don't choose to go against these companies because they're leftist. I choose to go to these companies because they make their leftist biases known. And I make the exception for Chick-fil-A because, really honestly, nobody knew about that till somebody went digging. They were intent to keep that a secret too. Except you kind of knew it because they weren't open on Sundays. But they were intent to keep their political beliefs secret. And then somebody went digging and outed them because of the non-support for gay marriage. Somebody else went back and did that. So I'm willing to make that a stretch for Chick-fil-A. I also really like Chick-fil-A. But if they had come out and soapboxed it and said, we are a Republican company, and we are Christian conservative, and this and that, I probably would be out on it too. It would be a little bit more of a struggle with Chick-fil-A, but I would still be out on it if they came on the soapbox and did it. Instead of just kind of cowering in the background and trying to hide it and people still going after them for it. I mean, the cat's out of the bag at this point. And we are getting the Lord's Chicken in Janesville too, by the way. Which I think is awesome. But, yeah, it's the same thing with Coke too, because they got up on their soapbox and I don't want to... Well, I never really wanted to buy Coke, but I really don't want to buy Coke now. Not because they are leftists, it's because they made it known. Target. We're going to make sure that, what is it, like 40% of our sales stuff comes from black-owned companies. Good. You don't need my business. Because you're going to get on the soapbox. You don't need my business. What was the other one? There was another fucking big one here. And like, people got off on Wendy's too, because they got pissed at Wendy's because when they did a dig. Wendy's didn't come out and say it. Somebody else went out and did a dig and found out that Wendy's donated X amount of dollars to the Trump campaign. And they all said, boycott Wendy's! But really, you shouldn't be drinking Coca-Cola to begin with. Because it's horrible for you. It's horrible for you. If you got to drink a Coke product, drink Dasani. Or Minute Maid. That's at least got some juice in it. If you got to drink a Coke product, do that. Reign if you can handle it. For whatever reason, I get chest pains every time I drink Reign, which is probably not a good sign, but I tried the knockoff Bang and it didn't really work for me, and I still drink Bang. But yeah, you shouldn't be drinking Coke. And really, honestly, yeah, if these people are so far against these government officials in North Carolina, then good on them for getting the product back out of there. Don't support the companies that fucking hate you, especially if they're going to be open about it. Now, if you don't support the companies that hate you all the time, you're going to starve to death. But at least make an effort not to support the ones that hate you and are open about it. Give your money to the ones that cower in the corner and hide behind it. All right. That's it. I went on that rant way too long. We got to get you guys out here in red. And Steven, I think, just went live because my phone lit up. So let's get this up here. And let's move up to the top so we can start from the beginning. And let's start from the beginning of the week. On Monday, you guys, we had Random Randy. We had Nephilim Ninja of Nibiru. Quest Fanning was here. Ron Helton showed up, and Mad Cow Mark came and joined us from the other side of the world. We also had Chilaga 1984. Welcome on in. Thanks, you guys, for coming and hanging out over on Monday. On Tuesday, we had Ron Helton, Sully Blue, Hunter Windmill, who I saw your name in here today, too. So thanks. That's, I think, a new name this week. So thanks for coming and hanging out. You rock. Mad Cow Mark was here. Quest Fanning was here on Tuesday. R Volt was here. Welcome on in. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us. Random Randy was here. By the way, if you guys are over on Twitch, stick around after the show and we will go and raid Steven Ignoramus. And if you're not on Twitch, that is twitch.tv/jadgar101. Come and hang out over on the Twitch side and we'll all go raid Steven Ignoramus together. And he will say that it's always Twitch. Random Randy was here on Tuesday along with Chilaga 1984. On Wednesday, we had Quest Fanning, Ron Helton, Sully Blue, Mad Cow Mark, Nephilim Ninja of Nibiru, Chilaga 1984. Well, I'm reading a lot of repeat names here, but that's great. You guys are loyal as hell, and I love it. I have a small group, but they're a loyal group. And the loyalty is the more important part. I love it. Chilaga 1984, Random Randy was here, and then we had Festin Cho 1 showed up. That was a new name, so thanks for coming and hanging out. On Thursday was a fun one. I went back and read through the chat before my power went out, and that was fun. We had a little bit of a person pissed off, and by the way, there was absolutely no election fraud in the 2020 election. It was the safest and most secure election in history. Nothing bad happened. Nothing bad could possibly happen, unless a Republican happens to win. So nothing bad could possibly happen. It couldn't be stolen. It couldn't be anything bad. Biden is the most popular president in history. Wink, wink, honk, honk. On Thursday, we had Random Randy, Sully Blue, Ron Helton was here. We had Train Scone was here, who wanted to see if there was any sort of election fraud out there, which there absolutely was not. It was the safest and most secure election ever. Quest Fanning was here. Vampire Hunter D was here. Thank you for coming in. I had Mad Cow Mark, Chilaga, 1984, and Linda Cloud was in here as well, so thank you guys for this. All right, let's see what you guys are doing today. Ron Helton leading in with the sticker over on the D-Live side, and then retreating over to the Trovo side, listening to the music and jamming out to some nice lo-fi. Thanks, Ron, for coming in here. Quest Fanning is here. Good morning. Quest Fanning, I was talking, DMing with him a little bit earlier when I found out that I had no scenes, which, like I said, I've also got to sit back and build all the scenes for the Red Net show again, starting from scratch because everything's gone, but that's a problem for future Ed. That guy's going to hate me. Sully Blue is here. Double the morning to you. Quest says, tonight I'm going to my first baseball game since August of 2019. Sox at Yankees. Well, good on you. I still can't do it. I still can't do the baseball thing because they got so fucking woke. Which, I mean, that's a thing too. I love baseball, and I love the Boston Red Sox. And I love the fact that I just started playing Fallout New Vegas, or I'm sorry, Fallout 4 too, which takes place in the Boston Metro. I'm kind of excited to go to places on that map that I've actually been in real life. That's going to be kind of cool, I think. All right, Quest Fanning is, we said that. We got a little bit of haze back and forth. Got another one for the Red Sox and the Yankees. Ford sold 8,300 electric cars this month. That's interesting. I like that. Random Randy is here. Ron says, no one should be counting on any of the fiat monies, government or otherwise, not backed by anything. Ellen Louise Jewin says, this is the weirdest thing I've heard out of context. And when that message popped in, I was doing the AOC impression. So, hey, Puppy, I don't know what you think that the problem should be, but where should we build more jails? That's the problem, okay? And we don't address the laws. We just build more jails. So says, God damn, your AOC cracks me up, and the cherry on top is Puppy, and the finger stem. I have fun with that. I do. It's probably racist, but I have fun with it. She sounds more like a Karen than you do. Linda Cloud says here, she says she's a pretty face to force bad news. Yeah, I could see that. Random Randy says, I would argue that we tried a little experiment this year, and it turns out that a higher percentage of the violent offenders who were let out committed more crimes. Side note, violent offenders weren't supposed to be included on their anti-COVID release program. That's true. She also didn't make the valid case for people who go to prison for minor offenses and become hardened criminals. That's a sound argument. Yeah, absolutely. Because there are people who go in for something simple, and then they wind up with the White Kings or the Latin Kings or the Aryan Nation or something else like that, who teach them that they have to beat the shit out of somebody to survive, even if they're running a relatively short stint. Like they're doing a nickel for stealing a car somewhere. Hunter Windmill asks a question, should reform of the prison and justice system work on prevention of crime, but also make sure we have room for however many prisoners there are at the time, to view with a view to it being pushed down over time by the aforementioned reforms. This is such garbage marketing from AOC. Oh, I thought that was a question, I'm sorry. But no, you're absolutely right, Hunter Windmill, and welcome back in, by the way. Yeah, no, there are too many crimes, that's the problem. There are too many laws for people to break. That's the biggest problem out of all of this. It's not necessarily that there are too many people who would be criminals otherwise. It's that there are too many laws to break. That's what we need to address. Let's see. She must want to go the route to being over capacity at detention centers for consistency. Oof. Oh, I missed that before. Hunter Windmill says, can you down a bit more? I think there was an AOC response tweet. I did not see that, unfortunately. Quest Fanning says the Dems have completely discredited themselves on criminal justice policy. Cashless bail was supposed to be for nonviolent crime, and they just went ahead and expanded it. Now there's a real problem with violent criminals repeat offending during the time they should have been in jail awaiting trial. Ron Helton says, get rid of most of the government that criminalizes free association between adults. It wasn't enough to lose 20,000 jobs with the stroke of a pen. I read that one earlier. It also set a minimum tax rate of 15%. That means it will hit small businesses because large corporations are already going to be above the minimum tax rate. That is a good bit of math, too, to keep in mind. How much for Farky Psaki? I don't know what that means, but thanks for popping in, Mad Cow Mark. Random Randy says all 5 of the fans of Biden's are mad for the flip-flop. You and Me says just glass the place. That's a name I've seen in here before. Welcome back, You and Me. Random Randy says, I've said before that there should be legacy laws to keep these people from grooming their kids to take their seat one day. Yes. Chilaga says, good morning from the same great state of Wisconsin. Oh. Reach out to me, Chilaga. Tell me where you're at up here, if you're anywhere close to me at all. I think you know, well, I think everybody knows where I am at this point, relatively. I've not given away my city name. I call it redacted. It's been out there. It's been seen. But I don't really give that away, but I'm pretty sure everyone knows I'm in Rock County and somewhere close to Janesville. You know, I did just say we're getting the Lord's Chicken in Janesville, which means that I'm within easy distance of Janesville to go get the Lord's Chicken. Quest Fanning says, I'm actually addicted to Parmesan cheese too. The problem with Hunter isn't the drug use, it's the severely compromised position that he's in. Yes. Chilaga says, Quest, I was listening to a podcast, Mon Perez on Joshua at Large, and heard your name on a super chat. Felt cool. One day I'll get super chats, but one day I'll be as famous as Joshua at Large. Sully Blue says, exactly, but because it's a son. Oh, bleeding hearts, forgive him. Nothing to see here. Yep. Quest Panic says, screw 1991 and 1994 Crime Bill. Joe. Yeah, exactly. Sully says, I'm right here with you. Victimless crime shouldn't have all these damn laws. Yeah, exactly. I can't do that one, Brandon. Randy, I can't do that one. I thought about it. I can't do that one. Ron says, Pence cannot win. He is too stiff. Sacky side, Matt Mark says. I like it. Sully says, shit, in Florida, you still see Trump flags on trucks and front yards every day. Chilaga says, I saw an election was stolen billboard in central Illinois this week. All jokes aside, I've seen less than 20 Biden signs, bumper stickers this year. Ron said that Pence would never win. Yeah, Pence, I don't think he could win. I think he's too establishment. And I think way too many of the Trump guys hate him at this point, too. Because he didn't overturn the election like it was his sacred duty to do. There is a religious fervor among those people, and he needs those people to vote for him. And I don't think he can get them. I really don't. Even with being the Trump vice president for 4 years. I don't think he can get those people to vote for him. And really, honestly, I think if Trump did run again in 2024 and put Pence on the ticket, I don't think he would win either because I think they hate Pence that much. I really do. Even if their religious messiah put Pence back on the ticket, I don't think that they could do that. Ron, I can't read that. In Iowa, a drastic decrease in pay justifies you quitting and still receiving unemployment. Yeah, that's true. Random Randy says, what they didn't say is you'll probably still have a 4-hour layover and thus not get anywhere any faster. Or better yet, you'll sit on the plane waiting for a pilot because they lower their staff to purchase those planes. 4 hour, I love that. I've never been on a layover. That's been an advantage for me because I haven't flown all that much. I didn't fly for the first time until I was 32. My ex-girlfriend and I went to Phoenix to go see her dad after he moved there. That was the first time I'd ever been on a plane in my life. And all 4 flights I've taken thus far in my life have been nonstop. We were supposed to have a switch planes layover, I think, in Denver when we went to Phoenix. But because of a traffic accident that delayed us on the way to Midway, because of that, we actually wound up having to switch planes, which Southwest was great for that. If you do fly Southwest because they're really, really great with customer service. But, you know, with the whole mask and vax thing, if you don't want to fly, I would understand that too. But, I mean, the customer service with Southwest is second to none. And they got us on a flight that wound up being nonstop over to Phoenix instead because we weren't going to make the first one. So, good on them. And I'm kind of excited to see that, kind of excited to see where that goes and how that all runs and operates and everything else like that. But I don't forget where I was going with that. Oh yeah, I've never had a layover before, so I don't know what the big deal is with it. I like the idea that someone might create a tool to accurately measure the CO2 in the air now that Elon Musk offered a $100 million reward for inventing it. Well, let's see. Nephilim Ninja says E85, maybe it's 103 octane. Randy says, these planes are going to run on water, man. Well, the hydrogen fuel cell, it's not theoretical. It's just the oil companies don't want them to be built. But it's actually been put in practice, so that it's a possibility. For the renewable plane, maybe. Nephilim says, hopefully it'll be like the Back to the Future 2 fuel. That's not true, because the internal combustion engine in the car always ran on gasoline. Remember? Because that's why they couldn't do that. It was just the time circuits and the hover circuits that ran on Mr. Fusion. Random Randy says, if those reasons involve coronades, they're unreasonable and irrational. Where we're going, we don't need roads, says Nephilim Ninja. You think the Biden admin would want to do it and brag about how it was allowed to happen due to their great work? I guess I'm not sure what's going on with that. Sully Blue is lurking. Ron Helton's great leaders. Random Randy's not lurking, he's working. I have a mostly idle job. I wait for robots to fail. J. Edgar's really monitoring it now. Yeah? Oh, let's see. Let's see if there are any more lemons that showed up. Unicycle Man threw 2 ice creams at me, so you rock, Unicycle Man. The AP Wire Service has been around for decades. It's a major gathering source from all news reports. Random Randy says, yep, Elizabeth Warren type natives, smaller groups that is. Cleveland Caucasians. Nice. Just outside. It's sad that the degeneracy has reached a point that people don't understand they use that name out of respect for Native American warriors. Quest Banning says, Randy, that would assume they ever understand or ever practice respect. No respect, just cultural appropriation. Ron Helton. So deterring fraud is a bad thing. There was no fraud, remember? It was the safest and most secure election in history. That CEO for Coke should be fired. Quest Fanning loves his Jesus chicken. Yeah, we're getting the Lord's chicken. Sully Blue says, I saw the video of Coke dissolve a steel nail and kicked it immediately. The Chick-fil-A near my office in Manhattan does amazing business. If anyone was boycotting them, it sure didn't make an impact. Yeah. Did they boycott the banks that donated to Trump? I don't think they know which banks donated to Trump. That's the thing. Sully Blue says, Chick-fil-A is the only place the driver can be wrapped around and they'll still wait because it's quick. Yeah, when they opened one up in Madison, which blew my mind that they could open one up in Madison and have it be successful. That blew my mind. But when they opened the one up in Madison, you had people wrapped around out to East Washington Avenue, which meant that you had a good 3/4 of a mile wrap. And people were still in there, and you're still lickety-split, getting in and out of there quick. So yeah, it's absolutely worth it. Honk. Safest and most secure election ever. Yep. All right. Chilaga says, which game is set in Boston? Something of war. Fallout 4 is the one I picked up yesterday. It is set, it starts off, and I've only been in the opening places. It starts off in a city that is in the approximate location of Minutemen Park in just outside of Concord. And then the action goes into Concord, and that's about how far it goes. From what I understand, if I'm looking at the map, the map extends down just about to Walpole and Norwood, which is where I used to live when I was out there. But it's a glowing sea when it gets there. So, I mean, it's still exciting to go back and be on a map of places that I've actually been. So, I think that's going to be cool. Fallout 4, it's from 2015. You guys all saw me play Fallout New Vegas, and I played Fallout 3. Now I'm playing Fallout 4 because I've got a computer with a graphics card that can handle it. And I'm kind of enjoying it so far. I spent 3 hours playing it yesterday inadvertently. I just intended to open it up and test it to make sure it worked, because I had other stuff I had to do last night. And then I just sat around and played Fallout 3 for 3 hours. Or Fallout 4 for 3 hours, rather. Fallout 4. Mad Cow Mark, bye guys. I threw 5 coffees at you 2 days ago. Yes, you did, and that was awesome. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Every donation helps. Everything helps get us further and further forward onto this dream of making this into something where you guys have a great network, a great blog, and great creators to look at. You get your news from people who do the same kinds of jobs that you do, instead of getting them from people in a 7-figure suit. So every donation helps to that. I do owe people an email on Subscribestar, so we will do that probably this weekend as well. Get the email out for the monthly thing. I'm not gonna make this bi-monthly. I've been bad about it this time, but we're gonna do this monthly. You're gonna get the email to see where we're going, see what happens, and see what comes up from that. So your subscribe to our subscribers. Look forward to the email coming up the next couple days. Chillaga says, have a great weekend, guys. Quest Fanning says, has a great day, Mark, under my real name. Yeah, I saw it. Quest Fanning says, Chick-fil-A is amazingly quick and delicious. R-Volt says, 3 Mile Line at Chick-fil-A. Stay only 15 minutes to get your food. Quest says, back on Twitch, which means that I'm guessing that Quest Fanning wants us to go over and raid Stephen Ignoramus. So I think we should process that request. Everybody else who wants to get on the Stephen Ignoramus train, get on over to the Twitch. JEdgar101 is the Twitch extension. Let's get some music up here. Let's get out of here for the week, because it's been a week. All right, so R-Volt just threw a lemon too. I'm over on the DLive monitor. So thank you, R-Volt, for that as well. Let's get on to the Twitch. Let's get ready to go. So thanks everybody here who came by and hung out with us for the week. Everybody whose name I mentioned, all the lurkers, all the people who didn't get on the list, you guys all rock. Thanks everybody for coming in and hanging out. We will see you tomorrow. Even if it's just me, I think there are going to be some other people here, but even if it's just me, we're going to have a little retirement party on Ed Talk tomorrow, 5:30 Central Time, for the HP laptop that's currently sitting over on my couch right now that built this channel and built this audience here. It did great work. It brought us all together here. Now that we've got something that works a little bit better, I think it's time to give that a good send up. And I mean, it's not going away. I'm going to keep it and still do work with it when I go up to my parents' house, but come on back and we'll pay our respects to the laptop, the little laptop that should have never did the kind of work that we were making it do, but the little laptop that could. Come back and join me for that tomorrow. I think Steven's going to play Taps. I don't know, but definitely looking forward to seeing that. Otherwise, we'll be back here Monday, bright and early, hopefully with all of our scenes intact for more contemporary, and Monday night for the Red Net Show, and the return of Elaine, who was out camping for Memorial Day weekend. So come back and join us for that as well. Coming back, we will see you on all of those times, hopefully, for more contemporary, more Red Net Show, and more Ed Talk. And until then, if you're on Twitch, stick around. We are going to go raid Stephen Ignoramus. Otherwise, we will see you later on. I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Take care.